with the cast of Damages, one of the best dramas ever on television. Damages recently wrapped up 5 twisty and twisted seasons. I'm very excited to welcome some of the cast members from this seminal show. First, we have an actor known for his work, talk about range, films as varied as Sliding Doors and Four Weddings and a Funeral, to the Mummy series. He spent season 5 of Damages secretly terrorizing everyone as Rutger Simon. Please welcome John Hannah. Your pick. Also joining us is a 3-time Emmy-nominated actress and Golden Globe winner for Dharma and Greg, but here we got to see her in a very compelling dramatic turn as Naomi Walling, Jenna Elfman. We have an actor with a very lengthy resume, but I have to point out he is a SAG Award winner for his role in Crash. He played the brilliant but socially inept Channing McLaren, Ryan Phillippe. Also joining us is the actress who spent 5 seasons being pushed around by Patty as Ellen Parsons before finally getting a happy ending. This is a role that earned her 2 Golden Globe and 2 Emmy nominations. Please welcome Rose Byrne. Okay, and we have Patty Hughes herself. Brace yourself. She is a 6-time Oscar nominee, a 12-time Gold Globe nominee, a 10-time Emmy nominee. 2 of her 3 Emmy Awards were won for her work on Damages. I am very honored, a little frightened, to welcome Glenn Close.
Ellen's happy because she quit. Got out of Dodge.
Thank you guys so much for being here. Congratulations on wrapping up an amazing show. Because this is a SAG audience, I actually want to start by asking, how did you all get your SAG card? John's a foreigner. Hopefully he has a SAG card.
I do, and I'm up to date with my dues as well. Actually, I came in the other day and paid them up. I can't honestly remember how it came around, how it came about in the first place. But I have a green card, so I am legally allowed to work.
Fantastic.
Anywhere.
I think you understand what he's saying?
See?
After walking through casting offices and handing out my headshot and barging in and doing I actually got one of my first gigs that way. And then got the next gig, and then I became eligible, and then I joined. So I've been pushing my way for the video.
I first got my AFTRA card because I did a soap when I was 17 in New York, so for a few months. And then I think the first time was on Ridley Scott's movie White Squall, because I had done some TV shows, or TV like guest spots and miniseries or something, but my first film was with Ridley in 1995.
I got it on a tiny movie called The Dead Girl, and they said, we won't pay you, we'll pay you like $11.50, but you can get your SAG card. So I was like, I'm in.
I guess I got it from being in World According to Garp.
Your
Do you
first
get
film.
it? Do you get it if you're cast in a movie and you don't have it?
You were Taft-Hartley, baby.
What's that?
That's my understanding is, as a non-actor, correct me if I'm wrong.
It just makes you eligible to join.
Oh, okay. Don't they? Isn't it basically they say we can't find anyone else for this role? It has to be this person. No. Okay.
Well,
That would
certainly
feel
wasn't
great.
true.
I knew you would correct me if I were wrong. I want to go back actually to the very beginning of Damages and ask Glenn and Rose, what first attracted you to this project, and how does it feel to see it coming to an end after 5 seasons?
Well, I had a meeting with the writers, and they pitched me the idea of this powerful woman and in the world of law, and said that their vision was to show how what power does to people in our culture, what that potential is. And I thought it sounded like a really interesting idea, and said, it sounds great, and I'll read the script when you've written it. And they wrote the pilot script was just it's as good as any movie script I'd ever read. So I signed on from the strength of that one script, and never regretted it. And did you have a second part of that question?
Well, actually, I'm curious, did they ever tell you from the beginning how they saw her ending? I mean...
No.
And how does it feel after 5 seasons to bid farewell to this character?
I thought we were really lucky to be, first of all, thank you, Sony, the people who are here from Sony, because they fought like hell to get us another home when FX let us go. And because of the partnership that they established with DirecTV, we were able to have 20 more episodes. And I think our writers then were able to really finish it off the way they wanted to. And I was really happy. I thought, it's amazing to me that after 5 years, I would still have something to learn about Patty in the final episode of the show.
Mm-hmm. And Rose, for you, what initially attracted you to the project?
I had been watching a lot of series at the time. It was around like 6 Feet Under and The Sopranos were all, well and truly hits. And I'd said to my agent, if there's any good pilots out there, I'd love to read them and, go in. And their Damages was the first one. And I just read it and thought it was complex and wild. And I was a little confused with this plot. It was a little complicated. But and then I went in and auditioned with Glenn. I came in quite late in the process of the whole thing, but I think it probably worked to my advantage in the end. So it's, for me, my first American television experience, and I've been incredibly lucky to have this experience, as having such a high standard of writing and character and all of that stuff, and obviously working with Glenn and these wonderful guys and all the people we've had over the years.
How did you feel when you got that final script and you saw that Ellen not only lives, but gets a happy ending?
It's a trip being in a show for 5 years. It's such a dreadful way to explain it, but it really is. It's quite surreal seeing yourself change and the character change and the passage of time and everything like that. And I guess the final episode, it was bittersweet in a way. Like it was bittersweet between the characters, and also personally for the show to finish as well, because it was, it was a lot of good, fantastic things about it.
For the rest of you, were you Damages fans before you joined the cast, and what attracted you to the project?
I was a fan of. I'd seen the first 2 seasons and really loved it, and then the phone call came out of the blue, and there was no script, and I was soon to learn that's kind of the way of it. Certainly before you actually shoot anything, you don't get to look at the script. So it was taking it on trust and taking it obviously on, thinking, well, if it's good enough for Glenn and Rose and Ryan. I didn't know Jenna was in it at the time. But those people doing that show, then it's got to be worthwhile.
I had seen only a couple episodes, but my experience, having done much more comedy than I've done drama, I was so flattered that they would invite me to come join them. And so that was the whole thing, was just honored and grateful to be permitted to come play in that scope. And that they trust, they've had so many amazing comedy actors come and contribute dramatic contributions. And so I was very happy to be joining them.
That all the time. You never know what I'm doing.
I don't know, I'm Croatian. I think I talk about anyway, so that's what it was for me. Just supremely happy and honored to be working with everyone. And ta-ta.
Ryan, was this your first series since doing that soap?
Yeah, it was, definitely.
Wow.
I had done a couple of guest spots early in my career on like NYPD Blue and a couple of those shows when I was coming up, but yeah, I didn't have much interest in a series, and I knew the reputation of this one, and then it was my older sister's favorite show, and she told me I had to do it, so so I did it.
And out of curiosity, you said there was no script, or they just wouldn't show you a script. What did they tell you about your characters coming in?
I mean, you know, I had a very early discussion with them about the idea of a Julian Assange type character, and that was really fascinating to me because I was riveted by his story and read everything about him that was out there, and so that's sort of what they said to me. But as far as on a weekly basis, no one knows what the script is. Sometimes the night before you shoot the scene, and that
You didn't
extends
know he
to
was
even.
the bad guy.
Nobody knew.
We didn't know. I didn't know. We know.
But I mean, even
that's fun.
Glenn and Rose as the leads, that's the case, right? Like you just.
Yeah, we learned. It was
idea.
it was very strange to be in a series and not know the ending. Because, you know, when you do a movie or you do a play, you know there's a beginning, middle, and end, and you have your backstory, you do all your prep for that. But in this case, early on, I was really uncomfortable. I mean, and, you know, from all our people who came in to guest, you'd always hear, who am I? Where am I from? And so, early on, I offered to write my own backstory, and the writer said, no, you can't. So the cool thing is, I found that it is a fantastic exercise because it forces you to live in the moment, which is basically the most truthful thing anyway. And the only thing I asked them was that please try to not make me look stupid if 4 episodes from now I would have, you know, it would inform what I'm doing now. You know what I mean? And they actually, that really, I don't think hardly ever happened. That was the one thing I was a little bit
Yeah, I mean,
worried
they
about.
always did get it in late, and but the thing was, it was always better. Like the versions just got better and better, the drafts that you would see, and so it was worth the wait, you know, all the time, which was good.
It's really rough on the people who come in who
Yeah.
aren't used to that because
Yeah.
it was really.
Well, you don't want to mess up. You know, you don't want to like play something totally wrong based on the morsel of information that you have, and then get 4 scripts down the line and be like, and then look like you did like horrific acting choices by default, like, you know.
But then there was your daughter in it. She thought she was telling the truth when she played the scene, and it turned out she was lying, and she looked like the best actress in the world.
But that, when you were talking about how that focuses you, that I think the idea of simply having to be truthful for that moment and nothing else makes you not make choices. It makes you not inform, you know, or not think about, you know, the usual, where have I come from, where am I going? You're simply doing what you're doing right now. And as you say, because we were all lying to everybody all the time, it made you then look like a good liar, which if the person that you're talking to is meant to believe you, then that's what then you have to be
Well, and
believable.
the audience believes you, and
Then
that's the
audience
whole
believes
thing.
you as well, yeah.
Damages 5th season, like I'm talking, but it's, you know, but as a viewer too, it's like you have no idea what's coming next, and that's what was so thrilling to me about being on the show, is to be on something that was written in such an exciting, unique way, and you as the viewer are like, that's it, no, that's it, no, and that's so exciting, and it was fun.
I
to be
loved
part of
it. I love not knowing. I mean, they would give us kind of broad strokes of where, you know, for the whole
stuff, yeah.
of the stuff. Like they said to Rose and I for the last, we knew at the end of season 4 that season 5 we would be pitted against each other. We knew that, but we didn't know who was going to win. I told them who was going to win.
Looking back over the years, is there anything you would have done differently had you known certain things about these characters?
It's funny with television, I think the writers really write around you a little bit. So I don't know if you found this, but they can, it's if you tell them information about yourself, it'll often end up in the show. Like I think that's a traditional thing with television. It is a little perverse like that. It can. So maybe I would have told
What
them
did you tell
less,
them?
or maybe I would have told them more. I don't know. Maybe I would have got a better story. No, I don't know.
What did you find winding up about yourself in the show?
I'll just keep that to myself.
You got pushed off a ledge at some point? Or-
Maybe.
Did they at least tell you you were going to live through season 5?
Yeah,
Oh.
they did tell me that. Yeah, and I knew that she was pregnant and all that stuff. But for a,
Pregnant?
yeah,
Do you watch the show?
Spoiler.
you knew that, John, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
You didn't know it was you, though.
Well, because that's the other thing. If there's a page of dialogue that you're not on, then you never get to see it. So
You don't.
Well,
or you
'cause
just
it-
don't read it.
Well, no, you don't see it. You don't often get. I thought the funniest thing was when we got a script for the final episode. Like we were all asking, "What's happening?" And we're looking at it, and you'd get this script, and it was about 12 pages long, and it would say, you know, Patty and Ellen meet somewhere round the back, and they talk about something 2.5 pages, and that's so every scene was like that, and the whole script was about 12.5 pages
You
long.
get the actual pages the night before.
The night before.
So they would just highlight the sections of the scene and just give a little rundown. And I was flying back and forth weekly to New York and LA, so I would be like reading, and I know I have to wake up at 4 in the next day, and I'm on the plane doing a red eye, so I could put my kids down to bed, and then I'd go get on a red eye, and then I'd go film, get off the plane, go to set. And it was like a paragraph of a description. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna learn my lines! And I would like get it on set, I'd be like, that was exciting.
So, John, when did you find out you were the bad guy?
I think episode 10, really, right at the end. Yeah, I mean,
Did they tell you, or did
No,
they like
right.
take you in the corner and be like, John?
What a
No.
horrible death.
we it was actually, yeah, it was pretty nasty. No, it was when we got the pages. I mean, you sort of have an idea. We used to talk about it all the time, didn't we? Sitting in the little.
Didn't I turn to you one
coaches.
day and go, it's you?
Well, we kind of all did that a bit. didn't we? So-
But I
I
was
thought
the
it was
genius.
really great that it wasn't Ryan.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I think it was a vote for Julian and his cause, and I knew our writers were in line with that ethos. So I thought I was going to be innocent. So
Did you ever think it might be you? Was there ever?
not really, just because I knew where the guys stood on the release of information notion and how important that is, and so I think if they would have, if I would have taken the fall, it kind of sends a message the wrong way, and I kind of knew what their philosophies were, I think.
Knowing your character is based on a real person, did you pull anything from Julian Assange?
Yeah, I mean, it's loosely based, and there's a couple documentaries out there, and we watched it, and John's character sort of comes out of Julian's world. He's got a guy that you can see in one of the documentaries that is very much his consigliere, but no, I mean, I'm not Australian, and I'm not 6'8", and
But you could play that. I do want to take some questions from the audience. We'll start with, and forgive me in advance if I butcher anyone's name, Devon Ogden? There you are. Oh, it's a woman. That was very sexist of me to assume it might not be. Has a question for Glenn Close. Your work is always so powerful and dynamic. Aside from finding it organically in the moment, do you prepare for a shoot with a specific technique?
I mean, for a scene? I think learning the lines is pretty basic. It's really interesting that when you have to learn them so fast, I honestly think you develop an acute short-term memory. And I was talking to Mary Kay Place, who was on Big Love, and we were talking about how we look at the page, and I have to score out all the what are they called when they tell you, she sighs, she laughs. Stage direction, thank you. Oh my God. I have to score it out because my brain will register that there's a line, know that it's not a spoken something, so I'll get a little blip in my brain, and it really helps me to score out all the stage directions, and then you just purely see the lines on the page, and she had developed that same technique. So I found that very, very useful. And then because, you don't just learn your lines, you have to assimilate them so it doesn't look in your eyes that you're trying to remember your line. I also found, I think it probably was because you get kind of more agile at it, but also you get to know your character when you've played it. It's a great luxury to play a character in a incredibly written series for that amount of time. And, it's literally like being part of a living novel. And I honestly think that's what our writers created. And I just think it becomes second nature to you now. But there were some actors who came, particularly Bill Hurt. He hated it. Hated, because he likes to, and of course, he likes to spend days, thinking and researching, ruminating, marinating. Yeah, so it wasn't a process that he really liked that much, but I kind of liked it. I thought it was a really good exercise. Just for your brain.
Was it always the night before you would get the dialogue for the script? Or would you
No,
sometimes
not always,
Not
always. but
Okay.
You always got some sort of rewrite.
It was always a rewrite.
Yeah.
So how much time in general would you have to prepare for shooting a scene?
Well, often you'd get the scene at like 10 o'clock at night, and my brain's fried by that. You can't really do much at that time except
Yeah,
just
I remember
read.
waiting for the emails to come in and you're looking at your call time and it's like 7 a.m. call time and it's 11 o'clock and you're waiting for the email, and you have a page monologue the next day.
Wow.
But it's a good cognitive workout. It is, and you get sort of up to speed. Like the first few days or first couple episodes in, it was difficult and it became easier, and you kind of, you just kind of go with it. Every work process is different, and you have to kind of be somewhat malleable, or you should be. I think, and you adjust according to what what time you're given, and but you still know how to do the job, I think.
And I learned also and our writers were highly collaborative. So if there was a word that kept blipping in my brain, I would finally say, "Can we change it?" Or a lot of times I'd say, "Is this what you really mean?" I wanted to be as precise as possible. But there are some times when just the order the words are in, or every now and then choice of a certain word just didn't flow easily. And you didn't want to have that kind of interrupt your concentration. So I'd go to the writer and I say, can we change this?
And I have a question from Colleen and Bra. What's the one thing you know now about the biz that you wish you knew when you first started? I think this is for everyone.
Everyone's entire
Yeah.
career just on my Whoa.
Who wants to start?
Who's got an hour?
Yeah.
I'll start then, since everybody. Not that I'm able to do what I'm about to say, but if I was, I would like to not worry, because I always used to worry. I worry, you leave drama school and you worry you're going to get a job, and you worry you're going to be any good in it, and then you worry you're going to get another one. And I've sort of been doing that for 27 years, and so far I've been getting away with it. So maybe I should stop worrying.
Something I've recently arrived at as a kind of realization, because I'm currently filming a show I'm so in love with and is so good, and I'm so excited about it, and everything about it feels right. And comparing that to the times when it didn't feel right, and what's the difference, and in terms of picking projects and choosing and navigating your way through your choices, it's just, the right stuff when it's right, and it absorbs and you can think with it and it feels organic, even though if it's a challenge and scary and a character, regardless of the creative thing, but just in terms of, anytime you have to square peg and round hole or start justifying for the writing, that's in the times that, for me, the gigs that were great and worked and I'm proud of, everything about it was in alignment. And the times it didn't is when I was sort of forcing it, even though I knew something wasn't right, and I was ignoring that because I wanted it to, And that was my big thing, is just staying true to your own sense of knowing what's right for you. and your own integrity, your own artistic integrity, and staying true to that organic orientation for it.
Does it ever not feel right and then still turn out great?
I haven't had that. Hence my big realization lately. There's times it feels challenging, but you still feel oriented.
Yeah.
It's when you feel a little disoriented and there's a little bit of effort and, Anyway, that's kind of for me.
I personally, I don't have a strong notion of what I wish I would have known before. I feel like I had a pretty good sense of what I was getting into. And throughout the journey, there's been revelations, ugly and beautiful, but I'm still in it. So, I guess that's...
That's a tough question. Yeah, I guess perhaps the worry. I think I'm a worrier as well, so that is something, trying to relax a bit more and be a little choosier at the risk of not working or things like that, which I've found always very hard because I'm, I guess we all prefer to work than not to work, but yeah. And I guess also what Jenna's saying in that intuitiveness that we all have about stuff, which I think is actually very powerful and a good thing to tap into more and more, yeah.
Oh, I don't know how to answer that question. Wish I knew, because I think not knowing is kind of a really important part of the journey. I think you discover for yourself, there's always somebody who's going to tell you how to do something or what to do and what not to do. And I think what you have to try to keep in touch with is what you think is good, and when to have your fights, and I guess just practically speaking, I wish I'd gone to Harold Guskin, who's a wonderful coach, sooner. I would have been better at auditioning. I was never very good at auditioning, unless, when I worked myself up into that edge, I could still hold it when I went into the room, but when I couldn't, it was usually not very good. So, that was a huge help when I learned to relax, to go in, to breathe, to listen, to, all that simple stuff. So,
No actor, I've never talked to an actor who says they're good at auditioning. Is anyone good at it? And along those lines, since again we do have a lot of actors here, would you be willing to share with us your worst audition experience? This is an evil laugh.
But what I would first say is you're offering yourself up to be judged in every single way, and particularly if you're a woman. I can't even imagine what that's like. And you think about what they say, when you leave the room, and you think about what you didn't do right, and and it becomes this thing where you're so bound up and in your own head. But there is one truth that I guess that occurred to me listening to Glenn talk, and in terms of what these guys are saying about relaxation, is that they want you to come in and get the job. I just finished directing my first film, and one of the most exciting things for me was the casting process and how the surprises that would come from that, or if someone would look, so different than what I had conceived, and then just own the part because of what they brought to it or who they were, so I think there's some value there, and to reframing before someone goes in and think they want me to do a good job, they want me to take this part, they want to not have to work anymore at trying to cast this role, and I think that can be beneficial.
Oh, I just blanked out, stumbled, and then got flop sweaty because I knew it was so bad, and then I was like trying to overcompensate. It was just a dwindling spiral of flop sweating horrificness.
I remember they made me wait an hour and 45 minutes, so I was already in a total panic. And then I got in there, and it was like 17 pages of diet, like horrendous. And they didn't say anything. And then in the middle of it, someone started opening a packet of chips really loudly, like. And me trying to do this scene. It was terrible. And then we did the next scene, and I was having full out-of-body experience, like looking down, going, "What are you doing? This is weird. You can hear that noise. Just concentrate. Do your accent." and then on the second scene, I was reading with the reader and the camera person, and then the director was like on to the left or something, looking at the thing, and he got up and walked all the way around to the back of the camera, like right in the middle of my scene. And I was, it was just revolting. It was horrible. I'm still recovering from that experience, clearly, and still waiting to hear back about the job. That was in 1997.
I remember I was doing a show in the theater, and Paul Schrader was casting American Gigolo. And originally it was John Travolta who was playing American Gigolo, and he was beyond hot. And he had just done, whatever. But it was really weird because I came out and my understudy had to go on for me, which is, you just don't like that idea. And so they flew me out, and it was at Paramount, and literally, it's the first time been driven under those arches. And so it was like big time Hollywood studio. And they had given me 2 scenes, and I'd kind of learned the lines, but not, I always have the paper in my hand, but I kind of knew the scenes, and I knew what I wanted to do. And I was ushered into this room. First of all, I was hidden from any other actress who might be doing anything. Like, nobody could see anybody else. I couldn't quite understand what that was about. So they kind of secret you from one room to the other, and then it's all clear, and you go down a hall. And I remember that they had spent one whole night creating this huge office for John Travolta, just in case he might want to go in there. I was thinking, wow, that is so crazy. And so then I went into this room, and there were about 8 producers and John Travolta and a bed. I'm not kidding. It was horrible. Then all the producers left, and John was supposed to have a little talk with me. So it was like, hi. You came from there? Yeah. Okay. Well, let's do this. Okay. Then all the producers came back in, sat in these chairs, and there was a scene on this bed. And he didn't have, John, it's just like the actor didn't know his lines and didn't have the words. And I didn't know what to do. It was like, and then I said, excuse me, Paul, why is my character, who's supposed to be this Harvard-educated woman from kind of upper-class family, why is she the only one who says fuck? And the gigolo never does. And he says, I just like the way it sounds. And I thought, oh my God. And it was terrible. I realized afterwards that probably what I should have done was, what? Try to seduce him? In front of everybody? I didn't know what I was supposed to do. I mean, not really. But, it was really, really awkward. Really awkward. And I just wanted to open my veins on the spot.
It's amazing.
And I didn't get the part.
Yeah. Neither did John, apparently. Did you want to add anything? Or?
I used to, the whole sort of self-taping process, which everybody does now, and you can do it from anywhere. And I used to really resent the idea that, you didn't actually have a face-to-face, a conversation with the 8 producers. And what I've realised from coming here and having meetings here sometimes is that you go in a room with whoever they are, and you don't have a conversation anyway. So I've kind of come around to the self-taping idea as being creatively more beneficial. Mm-hmm. You can do it as many times as you like. You're not sitting outside with a line of other people all sitting looking at their pages and doing that. You can take your time, you can screw up, you can go over it again. You're not seeing all that, other stuff going on. So I don't know I can't remember what the question was, but that's my answer. And I'm sticking to it.
I have a question from Justin Root. If you each had to select 2 films or TV shows to put in a time capsule to be opened in 1,000 years, which of yours? I don't understand the rest. Okay, let's just assume Damages is everyone's answer. But what other 2 projects, I guess, do you look back on most fondly?
What, of what we've done, or?
Yes.
Oh, I was going to say To Kill a Mockingbird.
You were great in that. You're looking at me? Yeah. Or we can work it. Does anyone have an answer offhand? I know, it's hard.
Keeping the Faith.
I love that movie.
I'd do it all over again in a second. And darn it.
I thought Gosford Park was a special movie, and then I loved the movie that I got to make with Clint Eastwood about Iwo Jima because my grandfathers fought in World War II on the ground, and so that meant a lot to me. And I think it's a historical piece. So
I'd put Bridesmaids in a time capsule for sure. Yeah.
I was going to say, how can you pick? You had 3 awesome movies just last year.
Not Get Him to the Greek?
Oh, maybe Get Him to the Greek. Yeah, just the comedies.
Just say Insidious for me.
Oh, you like horror? Oh, that's so
Yeah.
cool. Oh, they're everywhere, the horror fans. It's funny when they,
I guess I'd say Dangerous Liaisons.
Yeah, maybe 4 Weddings or something. It was my first movie. And
4 Weddings was your first movie?
yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, that was always special. You know, that was like being at somebody's wedding for 8 weeks. Which is a good thing.
Yeah, only fun. Yeah.
They didn't actually get married at the end, so that was all right.
And again, I know Damages is a tough act to follow, but can you let us in on, would you be open to doing TV again, and what's up next for you? You are doing TV.
Yes.
I know.
I am.
You're doing an amazing show.
I am.
Yeah.
It's for NBC. It's called 1600 Penn, about a dysfunctional first family of the United States. And it's really good, and I'm really excited. And every day I walk from the parking lot to the stage, and with every step, no joke, at 5:15 in the morning, I'm saying thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'm just super, super happy with every aspect of it, and it just feels really good. And so, yes, I am interested in doing TV again.
Can you tell us about the film you directed, actually?
yeah, I wrote a thriller called Shreveport about an actor abducted on location by a guy whose wife he had an affair with. And it becomes like sort of Misery in the swamp, and I basically play myself in it. And we just wrapped 2 weeks ago, and we want to open it South by Southwest, and I'm really excited.
Congratulations.
It was I feel thanks. I feel exactly like Jenna said. Every day I got up, I was so thankful. Like I just felt. I mean, those times are pretty special, work-wise in your life, and every single day I couldn't believe I was getting to do what I was doing. So.
It's amazing.
Yes, I would absolutely. I guess after we finished in March, it's been nice to have a break just because the schedule is incredibly grueling, in particular on an hour-long drama. You don't really have a life for 4 to 6 months or however long it is. So it's been nice to have a breather. But I mean, increasingly the best things you read are on television. They really are, in particular for women. The roles are few and far between that are good, and then the good ones are hard to get. So. Television has really been, there's a lot more opportunities, I think, for women on TV, increasingly, yeah.
I think it would be hard for me to sign up for another 6 years, possible 6 years, but I certainly would do a miniseries, and I certainly would do a movie for television. Yeah, I agree with Rosie, the writing is good. It's just where you can find great writing.
And I imagine Patty is a tough act to follow. Will you miss her at all?
No, I felt a great sense of closure, actually, the way the show ended. And I think all of us were calibrated to end. So, and we were exhausted.
Final moment, I honestly, like, from an actor, if I was in there, I just want to ask you about that final moment. I was in my trailer recently because I hadn't seen it, and I was exclaiming, like words were just coming out of my mouth, out of control, alone in my trailer in that final moment of you in the car. Because I've, like, to sit there and have a moment and have the camera on you for that long,
Yeah.
with nothing physically happening in the scene, and have it be an internal moment that's on, with the camera on you that long, and every single fraction of a second is completely lit up with life force and a moment to moment to moment existence. I've never seen anything like it. I was like, it was, I don't know if you're thinking about your laundry or your call time or
What did you think of her hair?
The Greta Garbo moment. What was going
her
through her
hair?
head?
How about the wig?
red lipstick.
Would you be willing to reveal?
I had when I said that I'd done 5 years and learned something profound about Patty in the last episode, it was absolutely true. I always knew, though I didn't know exactly to what extent, that my father had been a bully. And that's why Patty was so, against a certain type of person, a bully, and for the person who had no ability to fight back. And when they wrote that speech for me, that I say to my father,
Amazing.
and what that was, to be that child and to have that physical and emotional, mental abuse for that long, I thought, I started loving her. I mean, I always loved her, but then I really started to love her because I thought she's been damaged from childhood, and she's working with what, the tools that were given her, and in a way, given her emotional or lack of ability, to be intimate, I forgave her for the feelings that she had for her father, because I couldn't think of any situation that would lead her to be able to forgive him, given who she was at that time in her life. And then the absolute devastation of how alone she actually is, sitting in the car, having had that, such a sad scene, boy, imagining what she really wished would happen. And my mother, who's 88 years old and lives in Wyoming, had seen it all, and she said she cried for 3 days. And it's not about me. I think it's just, I think what the writers did and that final scene was make Patty Hughes a truly modern tragic figure. And I, it was all there, but, it was also, I had the luxury of thinking, of having real images in my mind of the 5 years, of where she had come through and what she had lost. So, it was, it all had been put in my head.
Well, again, I want to congratulate you guys on a beautiful show, a beautiful season. Thank you so much for being here with us today, and thank you guys.